It was heartbreaking to see the devastation in places around western North Carolina, the place I've always called home. Spectrum News 1 was there to bring the stories of people coming together, share their needs with the rest of the state on their road to recovery. So stay with us as we continue to bring you stories of hope from the places we also proudly call home. Spectrum News 1, available on all of your favorite devices, exclusively on Spectrum.
When we have that tornado warning, it's really important that we talk to folks in these particular areas. That rotation, maybe not quite, Gary, as well defined as it once had been, but still a little bit of rotation now. It looks to me like on the north side of Rocky Mountain.
Multifaceted events with the weather going on within these storms right now. You got heavy rain, which could prompt flooding. Some of these storms are producing dangerous cloud to ground lightning, which I always say, you hear that rumble of thunder, you get yourself inside until the storm has passed you by.
Live at 5:32, and tonight, big parts of North Carolina are feeling the impacts of Helene. Some folks are in cleanup mode. Some are sitting in the dark with no electricity. Others still waiting on floodwaters to recede to get a good look at that damage.
We turn first to Rocky Mount this half hour, where our anchor Siobhan Riley is taking a look at the damage caused by one of the two confirmed tornadoes spun up by Helene. So Siobhan, how are things looking at this point?
They are not looking great right now. We are off of Tiffany Boulevard here in Rocky Mount. Take a look at this damage. This is a Chinese restaurant. It's a very popular Chinese restaurant here in Rocky Mountain. The owner, too emotional to talk on camera, but she says that she has owned this business since 1995. Behind that restaurant, you can see there is a car shop. A friend who I spoke with, his friend owns that car shop, and his friend says that people were actually inside when that tornado came through.
Can you imagine living through something like that? I want to quickly show you some video that my colleague Patrick Thomas shot. The damage, a lot of it is confined to somewhere close up to Tiffany Boulevard, but it's actually spread out. There's a subdivision where we're close to where there were some trees uprooted, just a lot of damage now.
And now we want to head to Asheville, where emergency officials issued evacuation orders this morning.
It's as flash flooding became more and more of an issue for neighborhoods there. Spectrum News 1 reporter Jordan Kudish is breaking down how the River Arts District there is doing.
Rain, wind, and the continued storms we've seen pass through Asheville. We're right in front of the French Broad River. You can see just how much of an impact we've seen from Helene. Now we've seen this container is just shifting right by, and that's not even the worst that they've seen over the years. We've seen a flood in 1916 that was even worse than this, but with the current reports, we may see the waters reach even higher.
And now consistent rain there over the past couple of days has canceled classes for students at App State and also for local school districts there. Spectrum News 1 reporter Sydney McCoy live in Boone tonight.
And Sydney, you've been there for us the last couple of days, and you've already shown us a lot of damage. So what are you seeing now at 7 p.m.?
Well, Mike and Brittany, we're in a little bit of different part of Boone than we've kind of been in for the past couple days. So we're behind the Boone Walmart right off of Leola Street, but I really want to show you just some of this muck that's left from the creek when it rot in the water, and you can just see how thick it is. It's almost like this sludge type of material, and people are trying to salvage whatever they can from their homes. We've seen people kind of trying to bring it out, trying to find what's maybe not so water damaged, as well as maybe what they can't save. We're also seeing different items of debris kind of float around, and some of these cars here too were all abandoned because they couldn't get out of the water. And I really want to show you this. So I'm just about 5'5", and you can see this water line is just at my head. So it shows you how high the water came.
So let's head now to Buncombe County. That's where the sheriff gave an update on the status of search and rescue efforts there.
And Spectrum News 1 anchor Nick Buffo was there to hear the sheriff's comments in person. He's joining us right now live. Nick.
Mike and Brittany, I can tell you that along the Swano River here, incredible destruction still visible. As you can see, the building here, the roof across the river collapsed. A nearby van turned over on the riverbanks, and nearby we have seen people in tents, people who used to live in these homes along the river that are now destroyed from the floodwaters from Helene.
Helene washed out small mountain towns like Swannanoa. Rushing water swept away homes, cars, and other belongings. Our Rachel Lloyd spoke with a man who lost everything except the clothes on his back. But through it all, he's finding a way to be grateful.
Benjamin Larrabee's community completely submerged by Helene's floodwaters in Swannanoa Friday morning.
Right when you wake up, this is what it was like.
His car and work truck destroyed, and he was stuck inside his mobile home.
I ended up calling my family just to let them know that I didn't know what was going to happen.
He captured this video as he contemplated his next move.
I didn't know what to think. I mean, I was wading in waist deep water myself. I didn't know if I was going to make it or not. Then we lost all of our cell towers for like 12, 14 hours, so nobody even knew if I had made it or not.
His trailer miraculously stayed in place, but he lost everything inside. And when the water receded a bit, he was able to evacuate and take shelter at the WNC Ag Center.
Headlamp in case you have no power.
Awesome.
Escaping with just a backpack and his cell phone, he's grateful to get this small care package of electronics.
Power bank.
A way for him to keep in touch with his family in Maine.
Now that we've got some cell service and stuff, that was of course one of the first calls I made to my family to let them know I was okay, especially after the first conversation we had.
Yeah. And try to hold on to his job.
I just wanted to kind of touch base with Naturalscapes and see how everything was going.
But most importantly, taking his newfound appreciation for life.
That kind of stuff is just, you take it for granted, you're right? And then when you have it, it's a blessing.
Certainly grateful for his life. Larrabee says the WNC Agricultural Center now has mobile showers. That's just another small luxury that he's grateful to have after the storm. And yesterday, Buncombe County opened distribution centers for food and water.
The minute you enter Swannanoa, North Carolina, you're met with overwhelming devastation. Businesses crumbling into the river, houses torn off their foundations, and parking lots broken into pieces, cutting the small mountain community off almost entirely from the rest of the world.
We had to ration it out. 4 water bottles per family. We got down to 2 water bottles per family. We got down to 1, we were out.
Dr. Jeff Dowdy is the senior pastor of First Baptist Church of Swannanoa. He says the damage to the town is unimaginable.
So many people lost their homes, absolutely washed away. There are entire trailer park communities that are no longer there right now.
A true disaster, leaving the entire community fighting for basic survival, even having to ration out the small amounts of food they had for meals.
It was 1 egg or 1 piece of sausage. That's what we started with.
But once the roads were cleared, Dowdy says the Citizen Cavalry arrived in full force.
Every time we've had a need, and literally it's been God providing it, that it comes.
Still, Dowdy says the sights around town are heartbreaking.
I can't even process all that has taken place. It is hard whenever you hear stories of people who come through and are like, I've lost everything. I've lost my life savings and my home.
Businesses, homes, and entire streets ripped apart by the floodwaters. Still, what has strengthened his own faith is the outpouring of support from across the country.
I think as Americans, these are the things that we rally around. These are the things that we come together and we go, okay, we've got to help each other.
And he knows that even though his little town has gone through a lot, he has faith they will build back stronger than ever.
To see homes beside a riverbank where houses were and you just see a concrete pad, it's hard.
It's those sights and stories that inspired Allison Styron and Amy Morgan to volunteer with Helene recovery efforts.
And there's so much devastation. It's going to take a long time and a lot of hands to help them get back on their feet.
Morgan and Styron know all about destruction from tropical systems. They're from Craven and Carteret counties along our coast. The two took vacation time to help communities in the mountains.
This is going to be a multi-year recovery. It's devastating. Just like Florence, I know areas in New Bern where we're still trying to rebuild.
We met the two volunteers at an event to clean up areas along the French Broad River in Asheville. The memories of catastrophic flooding in eastern North Carolina from Florence in 2018 are still fresh in their minds.
Very close to my heart. My grandma lost her home, lost everything, and just we understand the emotional and physical toll it takes on individuals and the community.
And they remember the help they received from people around the mountains.
And that's the North Carolinian spirit. We take care of our own, and I know we're going to continue to do that.
It's a spirit that has helped our state rebuild from many more storms than just Florence and Helene.
Dorian, oh my goodness, Ocracoke just in no time just wiped that place out. So I personally went over and helped with some efforts over there, and you just see people like the lines, the streets just lined up with their belongings. It's awful.
And as catastrophic storms become more common in a warming climate, that North Carolina spirit of helping others may be needed more and more.
You can't keep coming back in shorter time periods and be able to, one, have the energy to face it, and two, the financial ability to recover from it. It's just devastating.
Welcome back to A View from the Mountains. I'm Tim Boyne. We head into Asheville now, Beer City, USA. It's a huge part of the tourism there too. But with the destruction from Helene, there's a lot of question about the future of this all-important industry. The pristine water of our precious mountains helped brew Asheville's beer industry.
They came for the water, the big guys like Sierra and New Belgium and White Labs.
But that same water now putting the industry in peril thanks to Helene.
Well, I mean, not everybody is going to make it, so there's some hard truths with that.
Some dreams literally crushed.
I don't even know what to say. Is that a train that destroyed your brewery?
Yeah, there's a train car on our bar top.
Despite the destruction, they are somehow thankful and hopeful.
It's a town of service industry workers, or people who were once service industry workers. And those people take care of each other. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
It's weeks now after the hurricane, and people are still filling up at Highland Brewing. Not for beer, but water.
My first day back, I got through and you had to check in with a guy down at the end of the driveway.
Chelsea Carmichael helped organize Highland's supply drive that overtook their property that was largely unharmed by the storm.
Hey, I'm Leah Ashburn, President and CEO of Highland Brewing Company here in Asheville, North Carolina. Our community is suffering, and we cannot brew beer, but we can ship beer.
The Highland team documented the efforts on social media.
So I'm here in our packaging hall, and behind me you can see some of the supplies that have come in. These are all actually highway patrol relief supplies.
It helped them to help others, but the weight of it is settling in.
So it was kind of hearing the same things. Like, it's just people like from, oh, I lost all of my food in my fridge, to I literally don't have a house. Like, I need everything. And it's so like, I'm gonna like get emotional.
We started getting requests because everybody knows, lots of people know that we have a big building.
We stopped at Highland because it was here we met Leah Ashburn and her dad 4 years ago.
We're in the alley where we started our business.
Oscar Wong's known as the godfather of Asheville craft beer, opening up in 1994, eventually sitting side by side with the big boys that moved into town.
I was terrified. I thought, oh no, it's bad enough to have the ankle biters, but to have the 500-pound gorilla show up, said, what are we going to do? Well, the upshot of it is that we had to up our game or get run over.
Today, his daughter leads the brewery. Despite very little damage, Helene will hurt their bottom line big time.
It hurt our business a lot. So October in Asheville, leaf peeping season, and it is everybody's biggest month. We lost every private event that we do. So corporate business, lots of weddings, parties, just all of the things, all of the tourism that comes to Asheville in the fall. So that's still really painful, and we have not brewed yet.
Brewing has since started, but challenges remain. Still, it's nothing compared to what some other breweries are facing. Brian Fedding's literally picking up the pieces.
So what makes you come back and keep looking for this stuff then?
I mean, you go to work every day.
New Origin Brewery sits right along the Swannanoa River. We are sitting on the literal and figurative foundation of the brewery. They prepped for flooding with sandbags, knowing 15 feet was likely.
We thought we'd still have a building, but we would have a lot of water. But when my stomach really sank was definitely that morning, realizing that those projections, even those weren't going to hold. It was we're talking 27 plus feet.
Anxiety and curiosity took over. He had to find out what happened.
I came on Saturday night, and it was probably 10 o'clock. It was really dark, so I just had a flashlight. But it was a war zone. I mean, There was active fires over here. There was just the constant hiss of punctured propane tanks. I was down here with the flashlight and looking around. What I didn't realize was that there was, a lot of fatalities in the area. And in this immediate vicinity, there was 12 bodies recovered.
So what did you think when you first saw this? I don't even know what to say. Is that a train that destroyed your brewery?
Yeah, there's a train car on our bar top.
A propane tanker bellied up to the bar, still intact.
So our front door was right here, and then this is where everyone would come in.
Here's what the brewery looked like before, and here's what it looks like now. Was it shocking or just numb?
Probably more numb.
We noticed, time after time, as the conversation got tough, Brian would take a sip of water, holding back tears as shock and uncertainty consume him.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. This is your life. The stories are hard to comprehend, even seeing it in person.
Our tap tower that had all the faucets and handles on it, that was about a mile down the river in a tree.
Sadly, it's not just New Origin. Breweries all around Asheville were hit hard.
We drove all the way to my boyfriend's bar by like 1:30, 2 o'clock. Parking lot is Class 2 Whitewater Rapids.
That's Karis Roberts. She leads the Asheville Brewers Alliance. She showed us more than 6 pictures of breweries devastated by the floods. At one point, she was on a bridge where people gathered to make sure friends were safe. They also saw firsthand the power of water.
It was just really, really scary. We watched a tractor trailer just float down the river and pow into, it's not Bowen Bridge, but one of the bridges right there.
Losing breweries would not just hurt owners and enthusiasts, it would hurt Asheville. A 2019 study found the industry contributes almost $1 billion to the metro area economy, creates 3,500 jobs, and is the second largest manufacturing employer in Asheville.
Looks like a few mugs down there.
Back at New Origin, Brian Fetting comes out here day after day.
Some of them made it through.
He pulls out mugs full of mud and an intact 4-pack of beer. His days are filled with this, and on the phone, desperate for help.
The hope is that some form of assistance comes in where that can bridge that gap between this and a business that's operating, a business that can support employees and families and get back to what we were doing. It seems almost selfish to hope for that, but we do. We hope there's some path.
What do you mean selfish? Is that like a survivor's guilt thing?
Sure, a little. Yeah, there's so much going on that, like, for us to think about our business is maybe a little selfish, but we certainly are. We want to not only put food on our tables, but our employees as well.
Even breweries who avoided damage are facing tough decisions with a huge drop in business during the area's most important time of year.
No brewery is too big to fail. So we all need to watch what we're doing all the time, and making beer was not as profitable as it used to be even before this storm. So yeah, the math is tough, and we're taking the best care we can of our staff.
I think one of the hardest calls that I've had to take is a brewery saying that they weren't going to reopen.
Karis Roberts says these breweries need loans similar to loans small businesses received during the pandemic.
Well, not everybody is going to make it, so there's some hard truths with that.
Normally breweries, like I was saying back there, all have each other's backs. And this is one of the first events that's made it really hard to have each other's backs, because it's like a survival mode.
That's why, when you can and where it's safe, these breweries, these communities, need all of us to visit now and in the years ahead.
It's a little piece of our label there.
Brian Fetting just hopes his brewery will be one of them, somewhere, somehow.
Just having an understanding of, like, will we be in the brewery business after this, is a big part of that. If there was, a magic wand that said, like, hey, you will be, then I think that would take a big weight off. But right now, that there's so much uncertainty there that's really that cloud that hangs above us.
We have to take a quick break. When we come back, we head to Canton, a town that keeps getting knocked down, but finding a way to fight back.
A mess of concrete blocks and the foundation are all that remain of Asheville Tea Company.
The entrance to the building was right here, and the sidewalk still survives. There was a set of steps that went up right here into the building.
Jesse Dean started this business in 2016, but only moved to this location less than a year ago.
This space actually was our first space that was our own space. We had just set up all of our equipment and manufacturing processes, and everything was here.
But then came powerful floodwaters from Helene, washing away Asheville Tea Company down the Swananoa River. Its ultimate demise captured in this now viral video.
It was provided me with some sense of closure or understanding of what had happened, but it was also something that's just been like playing on a loop in my mind ever since. It's just really hard to watch.
Bits and pieces of her company are sprinkled throughout Biltmore Village, even as far as nearly a mile down the road.
It's really, really sad. There's a part of me that's like, happy to see them. It's like, like little old friends peppered around, all around Asheville and Biltmore Village.
Now, left figuring out how to move forward. But her mission remains clear.
We want to keep doing the work that matters to us in the world, which is working with local farmers and making great tea for our customers. And so we do plan to rebuild. It's just going to be a long road.
When you first enter Lake Lure, things seem relatively normal. But Patrick Bryant, who calls this town home, says looks can be deceiving.
People come in and they're like, oh, there's a little bit of mud gone, a little bit of this and that, but you don't get to see the full gravity of it till you get to downtown center.
Bryant has lived in Lake Lure since 2007.
I was gonna wait tables for a summer when I moved up here.
Now he's a town commissioner, and over the past 17 years he's been involved in almost everything with the town, good and bad.
Party Rock Fire in 16 definitely tested my fortitude when I was in charge of catering for 2 weeks for that. In conjunction with Ingles Markets, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's a lot, but this was totally different ball game.
Before Helene rolled in, Bryant says the town did what it could to prepare.
So we lowered the lake, and even Friday morning, I got up at 7:30, and I knew the town manager had been at the town hall the night before. So I just left a note for my partner. I said, hey, I'm going to town hall.
But in a matter of minutes, Bryant says this became a nightmare.
From 8:55 to 9:20, that's when everything changed. It felt like a matter of 8 minutes. It went from the river's really raging to Morse Park is flooded, get your cars and run now as fast as possible.
A surge of water mixed with debris from Chimney Rock Village roared down the river into Lake Lure.
It was absolutely one of the most frightening moments of my life.
Bryant says he found a safe spot to wait out the storm, but the aftermath was unlike anything he has ever seen.
I was crawling across the debris field on Friday afternoon at like 2 o'clock, and it was about 30 feet high and at least 100 feet deep on the main bridge, and I had to get home to my family.
Since the storm, Bryant has been out nearly every day.
How you holding up, buddy?
Good to see you. Good.
Meeting with neighbors and business owners to see how they're holding up and what they need.
Yeah, but the amount of work that's being done right now,
it's
insane.
Yeah.
It's so impressive.
But even with all the progress they've made, Bryant says the destruction from the storm is hard to fully comprehend. From the village of Chimney Rock,
I came down and I turned the corner, and that was where the sidewalk ended. Yeah. Right there past the state park entrance, and you just drop to your knees, and you're sitting on the edge of Highway 64, and it's just the water is rushing underneath your feet, and everything that you know is gone, just completely gone.
To the damage to historic sites around the town of Lake Lure.
This was the first paved highway that ran across the whole state.
The famous flowering bridge.
That was the original bridge, so where you see the last buttress, that was all land. Right there. That's where the Rainbow Bridge was, and the Butterfly Garden, and all of those things were all right there. And all of that is gone.
A sight not only difficult for visitors to see, for Bryant, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing it from right here. So is a tough one, honestly.
But through all of this, Bryant says he knows the mountain people are strong.
Yeah, we are. Look at me. They are. There's a strong sense of resilience, of this self-starter mentality.
And just like those who planned the greatness of Lake Lure after World War I,
That's what this town was built on. I mean, this is a fully planned, structured town from the 20s, just prior to the Great Depression, and this was the ingenuity of invention for folks who wanted to create a beautiful life here and enjoy all this, the cathedral of the mountains.
Brian is confident the town of Lake Lure and the village of Chimney Rock will rebuild.
We don our hard hats and the strength of spirit and make it happen.
Better than ever before.
So that's our end goal. At the end of the day, that's what we're going to do.
Robin Morgan says the first time she drove around Avery County after the storm, she was shocked by the damage.
It was heartbreaking.
Pavement torn apart, debris everywhere.
Incredible power and destruction caused by the water as it came through here. Homes washed away.
She says they have come a long way. Manor Elk is now back open and asking tourists to come on in.
We are strong and we will come back from this.
She says they need visitors inside their stores.
Stay in our hotels and Airbnbs and eat at our restaurants, and we need a strong ski season this year.
She drove us around to some of the hard-hit areas in the county. Areas, she says, will take time.
This is what came out of the riverbed, all this debris. This little bitty creek down here.
Homes torn off their foundation.
The house was built up, I guess, to protect it from flooding, and the force of the water just took out the foundation.
Clothing in the woods, hundreds of trees down.
Can't imagine what the animals were thinking.
We went to Elk Park.
The power of the water carved out a new riverbanks.
And to Minneapolis.
Wow. Where we are now is more of a residential area. There's no reason for them to be coming down here. Let this area heal.
An area where water came up high.
Oh my goodness.
The river widened here.
Somebody is working on remapping Avery County.
And landslides all around.
Look at this landslide.
Which she says destroyed some businesses.
There was a beautiful family campground down here on the river.
Now the question on many people's mind is, what comes next with all this debris?
When we get another heavy rain, what's going to happen?
But one thing she knows for sure, this county is working hard to build back up, and they are doing it together.
We're working hard to do that with the help of people from all over the country.
And says as they build back, they need your help.
Now's the time for holiday shopping. So please do what you can to support us.
This is the sound of a community still shining. It's the sound of people coming together not only in grief, but in hope. People like Sarah Vicasey.
We're over a month out now, and it's still an everyday. It's still every day.
Vicasey and her community came together Tuesday in a remembrance ceremony, sharing the burden of their losses and finding strength when they need it most.
So to be able to have our community come together and acknowledge our loss, our deep loss of our neighbors and our cousins and our friends, and our streams and our rivers and our trees and our trails and our mountains. It's really powerful and very important.
Vicasey and leaders who spoke at the ceremony Tuesday used the phrase Black Mountain Strong, referring to the resilience of the area. It's been just over 1 month since Helene, and the road to recovery is a long one. But Vicasey knows that together, her community will walk that road with their heads held high.
I mean, look how strong our community is. We will come back together in a different way. The river is in a different path now, and our town will be different, but more resilient.